Hey guys, I'm here to get into one of my all-time favorite films, Wild at Heart. This is one of my all-time favorite David Lynch films, who I've come in to see through this shift in perspective. He is my favorite director for moving forward, I believe, because Stanley Kubrick laid out a foundation. David Lynch just knew how to walk it with enough care for the characters the entire way through, with an equal amount of perfectionism. Um, he's the kind of guy. His films can almost seem slightly jarring in a way because they're very over the top in expressionism, but they ultimately end up landing something of the ultimate surrealism. And honestly, this is just a perfect film from start to finish. I mean, I really have nothing wrong with this. This is just as great as what Blue Velvet's doing, honestly, and Twin Peaks Fire. Walk with me. But this is, again, just like all David Lynch films, this just feels like a completely original kind of film that has never been made anywhere else. As it's just about the most over-the-top portrayal of what true love is like, and it really does it in a way that speaks perfect to the lonely man. Actually, I've never seen. That's the thing about David Lynch. I realize I've never seen a more inviting man as far as speaking to that, and just getting right into the grittiest and darkest depths of what love is really like, in between the moments of delight, and you just kind of feel this perfect couple the entire way through, and the way that in Spirit it just feels so good the entire way through, the way it's all paced, edited, and just the way the cinematography unfolds. It's just perfectly bizarre, and you have all these just eccentric characters kind of coming through in a really kind of silly kind of way. It's very uniquely goofy. I particularly just love Nicolas Cage in this, and I think this is his best moment right here. I mean, I love Raising Arizona and I love Bringing Out the Dead, but this right here is his moment. As well as Laura Dern, this is one of her best performances as well. I love Laura Dern. I mean, my favorite work of hers has got to be Inland Empire, and Blue Velvet's close too, but this is equal to Blue Velvet, because these are just perfect, like rebellion. The amount of characters who just have the perfect amount of like love and rebellion, and that's kind of the ultimate balance I'm starting to recognize. I really like. It's like the punk with a heart of gold, who loves something greater. And you just have all kinds of weird cameos along this film. And like, of course, like Jack Nance, who's seems like every David Lynch film before he passed away, unfortunately, after Lost Highway. But you're like Cheryl Lee. I mean, yeah, Laura Palmer right here. That's pretty awesome. Then you have, oh my God, William Dafoe is actually about as terrifying as Dennis Hopper, if not more so, because the scenes that he's in are just brutally dark. I mean, he literally goes to the same measures that Dennis Hopper goes to below. I mean, when like the ultimate horrors of, the worst thing you can imagine. But this is brutally dark as well, because it takes you through all kinds of shocks that just always leaves you in a state of curiosity. Like you're just always guessing what's going to happen next. David Lynch is just about the best insane man alive. That's why, I mean, honestly, they always call him, he's like the Paul Thomas Anderson is my favorite director, but David Lynch, I think, is probably, I'm trying to realize, almost is the best one in my eyes at this point. I shouldn't say it like that, really. But as well as Ingmar Bergman, I'm seeing the same thing in him, too. I'm like, okay, you are just plain the best. This foundation is so timeless and it gets richer with age. But I love this film. Like, again, every bit impacts me as much as Blue Velvet at the end of the day, because it has a very original visual style, and the way the atmosphere is created here, it's just honestly hauntingly beautiful and hilarious the entire way through. It's really funny, and it actually is like a bit of a remake of The Wizard of Oz. Like when you're watching this actually is kind of like the same kind of pacing, same kind of story, but it's just kind of a more, you could say like you could say kind of a trashy take, but it's too satirical to like. It's like the perfect amount where it's just like kind of pure rock and roll fun, kind of like sleaziness that a lot of films like early Quentin Tarantino foreshadow, like Pulp Fiction, which is kind of the modern day expression. Just doing it, in your own kind of way. But David Lynch kind of lays this foundation out first. That's the thing about Nicolas Cage here. I mean, he really is about as great and interesting as a character as like anything Comic Lago is doing. I mean, I really love his presence here. He's just kind of got like this, absurd jacket the entire way through. He's always smoking it, just always kind of going around acting like he's Elvis, like mimicking Elvis Presley, which is the ultimate, character of just a rock star obsession, and having one particular that he hones into for such an extreme amount of time. He's such a great kid. These are such great characters. Like, I think the thing I love about him is they ultimately are honorable. No matter what situations they go through, they actually kind of realize the essence of like those good moments were there, so that the dark moments, they could face the dark moments. And whenever you go to hell, you have to kind of know what heaven felt like in order to know how to handle and to be equipped with hell. And this takes you through like the highest depths of heaven. You could say in their own kind of way, and the highest depths of hell, which ultimately balances out to really fascinating. So this is just really a wonderful film. That just kind of gets into just something marvelous, honestly. I mean, there's just something here that's really bizarre the entire way through. It's very eccentric as well. Very eccentric in the characters, particularly William Dafoe again. I mean, he really is odd. And there's like hilarious things like a quirky bank robbery, for example. But the way this is written, it's just, like you can tell everything feels very uncomfortable. Like they got like something creepy about him. like a creepy fetish of some sort. It's kind of loud on their sleeve. And I think the way I think is like Frank was a better manipulator than this guy. This guy's also a good manipulator. He can definitely lure, these good characters into doing some crazy things. He's successful at doing that. So that's the thing about David Lynch's over-the-top vision of evil in certain kind of characters. This is like an ultimate force. Like he was much like he was doing with Bob in Twin Peaks, which is insane. He made Twin Peaks the same year as this. Holy number, that's genius, man. Same year, and yeah, they're so different from each other too. That's the thing. Again, this is like sort of the Wizard of Oz, like in a modern kind of crazy, like Pulp Fiction. It's like Pulp Fiction, a Pulp Fiction lens on the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, this is like such a perfect road movie as well. I mean, everything about this just feels like you're just drifting down the desert, just in the moment completely. And I believe this is it has some of his best scenes of all time. Like there's so many scenes where like Sailor Lua just capture all kinds of like just weird kind of things on the road. There's all kind of accidents happening. All these interactions just end up feeling really, really human. Sometimes they go horrifying places, but it just gets me really excited. Honestly, watching this film just has so much life, and the mood of it's just ultimately so much fun. I just really love all this. Oh yeah, you need like Harry Dean Stanton in this as well. Crispin Glover from Back to the Future. Like, I mean, yeah, all kinds of these characters. Really quirky presence. I think here another way to put this film too is as far as how absurd it is. It's not one of David Lynch's like weirdest films overall. But technically, this is just one wacky rendezvous because Nicolas Cage is probably about the most sane man in this whole story. That's the thing about it. He's a madman here, but everyone else is like 10 times madder. It feels like. All these characters are just. He's a man who falls in love, and he just gets in the crazy situations that challenge him, put him through death. But, it's the hurls of the two, and told in the most fun, wacky kind of way possible. By portraying ultimate insanity within the love, I think that's what makes this feel very gothic ultimately, and while also very bittersweet and heartfelt. And yeah, just puts you in a great emotional state because I think David Lynch and Nicolas Cage deserve to collaborate more, honestly, because this just feels like such a natural and organic sort of collaboration. You really do feel like their energy does mean a lot. Like when I watch a lot of Nicolas Cage, I feel the absurdity of David Lynch's, visionary feeling. But Nicolas Cage is like a walking persona of a particular shades of madness within David Lynch. It feels like he feels like a figment of David Lynch's imagination, you could say. There's just so many things about this film. It's really underrated, honestly, and I highly recommend it to just anybody, honestly. So I thought any David Lynch film. I think he's the true modern foundation of a director, and this is one big reason why. This is like literally before Quentin Tarantino even made a film, like a feature-length film. So that's crazy. Like David Lynch was just right on to this kind of idea. Just like what it is to just kind of go into the sleazy depths, but then come out alive and feeling more love than ever before in your life. It's a beautiful, beautiful film the entire way through. I couldn't recommend it enough.